Hello, MJ7NLK here, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are looking at the TIDRadio H3 analog multiband amateur transceiver, which is advertised as outputting 5 watts. It has Bluetooth, is analog AM/FM, covers UHF and VHF, and receives broadcast FM and airband. It supports tones and codes and has something you don't see on many radios, and that is dual PTT buttons. This radio is sold in 3 different versions: ham, GMRS and unlocked. However, it doesn't matter which version you buy, as you can switch between the modes using a secret key combination, which we'll be covering later in the video. Before we continue, here is a quick message from this video's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay are makers of prototype PCBs of all kinds. They also offer services like PCB assembly, CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication and injection moulding. Manufacturing times are exceptionally quick and delivery is super fast. I have used their services on many occasions, and PCBWay get an NLK-Media thumbs up for quality and service. Check out their website, pcbway.com, for more information, or follow the link in the video's description. Thank you, PCBWay, for supporting this channel. I bought one of these radios from Amazon to add to my collection of reasonably priced devices that are ideal to have around the studio, especially for preparedness. The one I purchased was the Ghostbusters slime green colour and the ham variant. Not long after purchasing, TIDRadio reached out to me and said, if you're reviewing the H3, how about we send you the other colours? So they sent me a black one, and they sent me the crystal one. So I ended up with 3 of these radios. Now we need to talk about the price. You can buy an H3 from TIDRadio direct on their website for around £24. They do offer bundles with different accessories like the H3 with an additional battery, desktop charger, headset and a larger antenna, the 771 antenna, all for just £38.50. Let's put the price into perspective. A 10-inch takeaway pizza from the place down the road is £12. So this radio is the price of 2 medium-sized takeaway pizzas. That is an astonishing price. We'll see if the radio's any good shortly, but an impressively low price nonetheless. If you buy from TIDRadio direct, on their website, they will ship free of charge on orders over $69. And if you use the discount code NLK-Media, all one word, you can get up to 10% extra off the price. So looking at the box, well, you can see, apart from a sticker with the colour, it's a pretty plain box, but I can't complain for the price of £24. Let's have a look at the one that I got from Amazon, which is the Ghostbusters Slime Green. Inside the box, you get a rather nice card, the user manual, the radio itself, which is absolutely tiny. Have a look at that in a moment. The standard antenna, a battery, a desktop charger, a wrist strap, a USB-A to USB-C cable, and the belt clip. So that's what you get in the box that I got from Amazon, and the radios that TIDRadio sent me, they come with the manuals as before, the battery. This is the crystal variant. We'll take a closer look at these shortly. The stock antenna, USB cable. I actually got a UK plug with this one, which I didn't get with the one from Amazon. I don't get a desktop charger, lanyard and belt clip. And it is exactly the same for the black one. So let me get these radios out and assembled and we'll press on. The stock antenna that comes with the radio is an SMA female. The radio has an SMA male connector on it. It covers FM 136 to 174 and 400 to 470 megahertz. The battery is a 7.4 volt 2500 milliamp hour battery. The user manual is quite good, actually, even comes with some colour images in it, and has reasonably good feature coverage of the radio. But let's remember, these radios cost £24 each, and the fact that you get some printed material is pretty remarkable. Before we have a run through of the features, let's talk about the colour options. The slime green radio looks a bit odd with a black battery. It doesn't quite look right. And I thought I would hate the crystal version, where you can see through it and see the insides of your competitively priced radio. But actually, out of the three, I'm going to give it to the crystal. I think the crystal looks the nicest out of the three colour options when you have them in your hand and are looking at them in the flesh. So running through the headline features of these radios, it has support for 199 signal channels. Why 199? I do not know. They should have just made it 200. There is support for 8 different analogue bands, but mainly 6 metre, 2 metre, 70 centimetres, and FM broadcast radio and airband. The battery we've covered, 7.4 volts, 2500 mAh. It has Bluetooth wireless programming via the OD Master app. Supports the traditional Kenwood style programming cable. It has a built-in programming chip, which is pretty unique to these radios. The chips that you normally get within special programming cables to connect them to your computer, that is actually built in to this radio on the board itself. So you can use any old normal USB-C cable and plug it into your computer and program it that way. You can program it via CPS or Chirp. Chirp is supported. It has dual PTT buttons, which we'll come on to a bit later. Crossband intercom, CTCSS and DCS privacy tones and codes. It has a 1.44 inch colour screen. It supports wireless transmission of the radio's config from one radio to another, so you can wirelessly clone it. Very, very useful. It has CTCSS and DCS code scanning. A fast copy feature, they call it fast copy, which effectively can identify what frequency another radio is transmitting on and then switch the radio to the same frequency. It has USB-C charging on the bottom port. The side port is used for the programming cable. It has a reasonably powerful flashlight, and for our North American friends, it also supports the NOAA weather channels. DTMF is supported. You can also control the mic gain within the menus. That's nice to see. And it supports dual watch. So let's have a look around the radio itself. I've got to say the buttons are quite small. If you have Cumberland sausage fingers, then you are going to struggle to push these. They are perfectly clickable. I can push the buttons as needed, but they are on the small side. I do have some H8 radios being sent to me, which that radio is a little bit bigger, so we'll have a look at that. We have 2 LEDs on the top and a flashlight, and we have the on, off and volume control. On the side, we have, under the waterproof cover, the usual Kenwood style programming cable, your earpiece, etc. And we have the USB-C programming port. On the other side, we have the dual PTT buttons, and we have a programmable button here at the bottom. Now, I'm going to push this. It will turn on the flashlight, and the flashlight is pretty damn good for a radio. Some of them are very, very weak, but this one is bright. I'm going to push the button again, which will make the light flash. If you're sensitive to flashes, please look away now. Okay. So that is a quick look around the radio. Your speaker is here, and you have a USB-C connector at the bottom in the battery itself, so you can charge the battery see if I can get this battery off. You can charge the battery away from the radio. It does not need to be plugged in. So that's nice. The belt clip is pretty strong and it is of a metal construction. So let's now have a look at some of the features I was talking about where we can clone the settings. Let's have a look around the general operation of the radio. It's very simple to use. You have two VFOs as shown here on the bottom. I've set them to 449, 400 and 164.050, which are business channels, which I am licensed to use. They are not in the ham frequencies. You push the A and B button to switch your primary between the two at the top, but you don't really need to do that because you have dual PTT buttons. If I push the upper PTT, it will transmit on 449 400 and this LED will light up red. And if I push this PTT button, it will transmit on 164.050. Now I have the second radio here and you can see the LEDs on that radio. As I transmit on 449, it shows up on the other radio that it's receiving. And if I do the same on the second PTT, you'll see it done in reverse. So that is actually really quite helpful and quite useful. The menu system is mainly operated on this side of the radio. You push the blue Bluetooth button to get into the menu, and you can see here that I've set a CT-CSS code of 77 Hz. If I want to enter that, I push the blue button again, and then I can adjust with the up and down key to the setting that I want. Push the blue button again and it will confirm that setting, and the orange button will take you out. So very, very simple and easy to use. This next mode is one of the strong points of this radio. If you push and hold the 1 key, it will start scanning, frequency scanning. If I transmit on this here, you'll see that it's picked up that that radio is transmitting on 449 400 and is using a CT-CSS code of 76.9. Well, it's actually 77. So that is incredibly helpful and useful to be able to set the radio into a frequency scan mode and just pick up whatever frequency and CT-CSS code is being used. And then to exit from finding that information, you just push the orange button. I like that. Now let's have a look at the wireless transmission of settings. You need to push the PTT-C button, as they refer to in the documentation, which is actually this third button on the side here, this one. So you push that button with the radio off and turn the radio on, and that will set the radio, keep it pressed, that will set it into wireless copy mode. You need to do the same on the second radio. Okay, and then you push the C button. And once that completes, turn the radio off, turn it back on, and you've just wirelessly copied the configuration from this radio to this one. So do a quick test of the receive of the radio. Mr. Motorola is on another floor. I'll call in a radio check. Could I have a radio check, please, Mr. Motorola?
Radio check, radio check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radio check, radio check.
So hooking the radio up to a spectrum analyzer, looking at UHF, I can see a small amount here of spurious emissions at 1.347 gigahertz. If I just auto that, you can see it's pretty good at 449.4399. If we span that and just check, you can see it there, this tiny little bit in the 1.3 gigahertz. But apart from that, it's good. Let's have a look at VHF. Have a look and see what's happening there. Good. Span that. maybe a tiny little bit here, but nothing to write home about. So VHF looks good. There's just a tiny bit up at 1.3. Okay, I've hooked up the green radio, so let's have a look at that one on UHF. See if we've got anything. So there's the tiniest little bit here, but I mean, this is really good. There's just a tiny little bit there. I mean, that is clean. Let me hook up a Quansheng and we'll have a look and see how that performs. Okay, as a matter of interest, what I've done is I've hooked up a Quansheng radio. It's on 449 400. Let's just take a look at that. So that looks nice and clean, you'd say. Yep, looking pretty good. Let's just check the span of that. And you can see these two peaks here, spurious emissions that are being pumped out further up the spectrum. And that is this radio, as you can see as I key up and key down. So we get a very small amount on these radios, sort of up around here, but everything else is filtered out nicely on these. So actually the H3 has done pretty good there. Let's talk about power. I've tested both of these radios on the power meter, and I am getting between 3.5 and 3.7 watts there or thereabouts. In low power mode, between 0.5 watt and 0.75 watt, I am not getting the claimed 5 watts, but there we go. Now, when you buy these radios, they come in 3 versions, GMRS, ham and unlocked. You can switch by any radio, it makes no difference, and I'll show you how to do that. With the radio off, you push and hold the PTT button, you push and hold the star button at the top right of the keypad and turn the radio on, keeping the buttons pressed. It will then come up with this menu. Number 1 is ham, 2 is GMRS, and number 3 is normal, and normal means unlocked. So you pick the option you want, and if we say unlocked on this one, it will ask you to confirm, push the blue button, and then the radio will reset itself. Now it will completely wipe itself. So this is now back to factory settings, if you like. What I can do now that's in its unlocked mode is use the incredibly helpful feature which enables me to wirelessly copy these settings over, as I showed you earlier. Let's do that. And now it's going to make some strange noises. Okay, and that's now completed. So this one we've turned into an unlocked radio.
Welcome.
And we've got the settings that we have on that one. So in conclusion, what do I think of the TIDRadio H3? Well, you get a lot of radio and features for your money. The features tested all worked well, and did I mention it's only 24 quid? The testing on UHF 449 MHz showed that the second harmonic was filtered out at around 900 MHz, with only a small amount showing of the third harmonic at 1.35 GHz. The Quansheng didn't filter out the second or third harmonic, so the H3 performed very well here. If you're looking for some cheap yet feature-packed little radios to have in the cupboard for those unexpected situations, then you really can't go wrong. Picture the scenario. The zombie apocalypse hits. You give an H3 to the mother-in-law and send her out foraging. If she doesn't come back, you're not going to get too upset at the loss of the radio. TIDRadio have been kind enough to give viewers of this channel a discount code, which is NLK-Media, and you can apply it at the checkout. I do hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, then please help the channel out by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. This really does help to ensure that I can continue to provide content. Please feel free to buy me a coffee. Details are in the description below, and thank you to everyone who has bought them for me in the past. If you have any questions or comments, then you know what to do in the comments section. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Trolls and nasty know-it-alls need not apply. Well, until next time, stay safe, stay happy, and catch you in the next one.